Hi, everybody, and I'm happy to welcome you to this edition of Illumina. This edition is really exciting because we're launching a new series called The Change Agents, where we bring to you thoughts, best practices, learnings, experiences from change agents, really leaders who have made a difference both from within and outside of their enterprise in the form of process and other innovations. The change agent that I'd like to introduce to you today is Mr. Vijay Sethi. Vijay is on the leadership team of MotoCorp, which is the world's largest manufacturer of two-wheelers based in India. Vijay is the Chief Information Officer. He heads the corporate social responsibility function and also leads innovations within MotoCorp. Interestingly, he used to manage the HR function sometime earlier. He serves as a board member for one of the joint venture organizations, and he brings with him a very rich experience of over 25 years in the manufacturing and consulting domain. So Vijay, a hearty welcome to Illuminar.
Thank you, Shivadar. Thank you.
Today's topic is on how enterprises can really bridge the digital talent gap. Digital is basically, it leads enterprise strategy in some sense, and it's become a sine qua non for enterprises. But what should be the enterprise strategy, for meeting the skill gap, one, identifying, and two, meeting the skill gap? And what should be the step-by-step approach to actually bridging the digital talent gap? This topic is going to focus on this very important topic, and I'm extremely excited to hear from Vijay on his perspectives on a few questions that I will ask during this session. So Vijay, welcome again.
Thank you, Shivadar.
My first question to you, Vijay, is what kind of skills do you believe are most relevant for enterprises in this digital age?
See, we'll have to see what digital age means. So what is happening today is that over the last couple of years, almost entire aspects of an organization are getting into digital. Mm-hmm. Some of the really technical forces, like whether it is social, mobile, analytics, cloud, virtual reality, some of these things are really taking over all the aspects of our business, whether it is in operations, manufacturing, sales, finance, all other areas. Now, the role of IT team or an IT team member is that how does one use these technologies so that the business can get better value? Now, if an IT team has to give more value to the business, first thing that IT team needs to know is what these technologies are, what do they offer, and how can then they really be used for the business. So two basic skills over here, first to start with. One will be you need to understand technology, and second you need to understand business. Now, and the technology is changing really fast. You can't chase technology beyond a point, because if you really go for a particular version at this moment, by the time you are done with that, you are already kind of 5 versions behind. But the key thing which people in IT team really, the skills that IT team members really need to build is ability to learn, and learn really fast, because things are changing so fast that you need to have an ability where you grasp things, you see what is happening, you synthesize the entire thing, and then apply that knowledge back into how it can be utilized into my day-to-day work. That's the biggest thing. If I was to look at a couple of other skills that one needs to really do is, especially in today's economy, which is more collaborative, none of the IT team members can work within the domain of IT. You need to work with your partner, you need to work with your business function partners and other things. So teamwork, collaboration, these two things are two skills which each one of us needs to have. Also, since the technology is changing so fast, some of the things that you would have done last year may be irrelevant today. Mm-hmm. Which means that one of the skills that people need to develop is to let go whatever they propagated a couple of years back, and be adaptable to the new order. And that's really difficult, because there are times when we get stuck, because this was my, this is what I had recommended at a particular time. How can I say that this is not relevant today? And that becomes a negative point for a lot of people. And one thing that's really changing in today's context, right from a guy who joins the organization day one till the time the guy retires in the organization, one skill which is becoming very, very important is communication skills. It's not just the oral communication, it's not just the written communication, but oral, written, presentation skills, the way you present yourself. The entire gamut of soft skills is also becoming very important today, because the word today is not about just hard technical skills. It's also about soft skills. And if I was to wrap up all these skills with one skill, which I don't know whether it's a skill or attribute or whatever you will call it, which is very, very important in today's world globally, is about integrity and ethics. That's perhaps has to be there. If that's not there, all other skills are irrelevant.
Excellent. I think you've summed it up really well, Vijay. Especially on the last point, I couldn't agree with you better, I think. So tell me something. I've seen a lot of enterprises talk about digital transformation. It's everywhere, right? I mean, almost everybody is talking about it. And yet, I also find that several enterprises are really confused in some sense about digital priorities. What should they really focus on, and how do they go about really executing it, right? So how does an enterprise really go about identifying what is the skill gap that they have in the digital space in order to get to where they want to be, assuming that they also want to have those skills of people who are going to build their digital vision for them? What is the best way for them to identify the skill gaps?
I think you already answered in your question itself the reason for failure as to why many organizations do not reach where they want to reach. If I just kind of re-say the line that you just said, the companies where they want to reach to. Mm-hmm. And I think that becomes a major point, that it has to start from your end point. What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? Because my skills will be with respect to that. A lot of companies want to just chase skills. I want to have few guys who are good in analytics, few guys who are good in cloud, few guys who are good in social, who might be good in other technologies, or the best presenters on earth. Mm-hmm. But to do what? Till that time, I'm actually not clear as to what my business strategy is, what I want to achieve in my business, and how is IT really integrated into that business strategy. What are those aspects of business where IT would play a key role? So I need to be first very clear on that piece. Mm-hmm. Once I have done that, then I know that to reach that goal, these are the skills that I need. Then the next step is I do a skill gap assessment. I do an assessment of the skills of my own team members, and the skill gaps would come. Most of the people, actually what they do is they do the skill gap, but the desired skills are not what the company wants, but it is something which I wish my company should have these kind of skills. Whether those skills are required for my business strategy or not, we don't really do that piece. And I think that's the reason why, while a lot of companies do skill gap assessment, do a lot of trainings, a lot of entire thing, but finally, since it does not really meet or is in line with their business strategy, the entire thing really fails. Or is suboptimal. I won't say fails, but suboptimal.
So the first step is for them to really identify what vision and where they really want to be, versus
where technology would play a key role.
Right. Okay, so what are some of the innovations that you have seen enterprises do in order to bridge the skill gap? Assuming an enterprise has actually identified it, what are the best ways to actually source the digital skills?
So I think there are different companies apply different means. One of the key things is that in today's world, one needs to realize that you cannot have all these skills in your own team. So if that realization comes, that means your skill pool suddenly increases, which means that it's not just your own team or your extended team, but all your partners and other people in even different business functions kind of become your team from which you can seek those skills. So that's one piece where companies are really looking at skill sets beyond their own core team. That's first piece. The second is some of these skills, as I see, you can't really chase technology, as I said earlier, but what you can do is expose people to some of these technologies. So where you give them opportunities, many of them will not come just sitting in classrooms, but it could be visiting, say, Center of Excellences of various organizations, inviting those organizations to showcase their stuff in your own organization, visit some of these fairs where some of these technologies are showcased. For example, if I go, SAP does, for example, some of these showcases where technology is, and similarly other organizations showcase projects by various companies. Basically, you learn from experiences of others. That's where it comes. And of course, many of the events which are held today, they also give a good exposure into what is happening. And when a person who has been working for a few years in an organization, maybe 5 years, maybe 15 years, you do not expect that you are giving technical inputs to that person, but you are giving more of a techno-managerial inputs into that. So you are giving me an exposure of what technology is all about, how technology can be used. So if I was to give him, for example, in a very simple terms, if I'm giving him a full exposure of what cloud is, say, hybrid cloud. So I'm giving as to how hybrid cloud works, how it can help the organization, but not really getting into how to configure a hybrid cloud. We're not getting into those kind of things. And that's where many of the organizations actually, if they really get into those very details, those details can always, or those technical skills can always be gotten from market, because those are changing at a very fast pace. Whereas how to use this hybrid cloud in your own environment, how it will help your business, that's more important. So you need to understand the concepts behind it, how it can be integrated with your own systems, what could be the challenges, what could be the opportunities. Those are the kind of skills which are required.
Great. I also wanted your perspective on, one more topic, which is on the role of educational institutions, in terms of the kind of curriculum that they really need to put in place, perhaps to bring up the skill with freshers, with the young folks, coming out of college. So what do you believe, how do you believe they can really, add value to this whole, meeting of skill gap?
There are two parts. One, there's a saying in India that we produce so many engineers, for example, every year, but many of them are not employed.
Right.
Because some of the things which are taught to them, some of the technologies which are taught to them are kind of outdated. No one uses it. So what many organizations today are doing, many institutes today are doing, is they are forming something called an academic council, where they are also inviting people from industry to shape up the curriculum. I know that I've been working with at least 5 or 6 of such institutes. So what in those cases it's done is that the entire curriculum is sent to some of us, and people give their views that, okay, out of these courses, these don't make sense in today's time. So some of the case studies which are being taught in some of those institutes, some of the books even which are there for teaching, they're not relevant, because when those books were written, when those case studies were written, there's no social, there's no mobile, there's no analytics, there's no cloud, there's no concept of even information security to a large extent over there. Virtual reality, no one had heard. So some of the things which kids actually learn over there when they come into corporate life, they get a shock of their life, because whatever has been taught or whatever has been told to them by their teachers does not exist in the real world. So companies are doing that. Also another thing which now many of the institutes have started doing is inviting people, the professionals from industry, to address students and take those sessions regularly. Over the weekends, there are a lot of institutes where many professionals go and teach the students.
Right. So
while it helps professionals also, but it helps students in a big way, because then they are told about what the real corporate life is, and how whatever they might be taught, they might be being taught in the classes, may not be relevant in the real world. So that's how it's being done today.
Right. Okay, can you share some insights on what Hero MotoCorp is doing as an organization to build on your own digital priorities?
We do a lot of, I won't say a lot of stuff. Okay, we try to do a lot of stuff. That's all. So as we speak today, in fact, this week we are having something called Hero Technology Week.
Okay.
So this is going on over here. So here what we have done is we invited 9 organizations, and some of the leading organizations on Earth, people like SAP, Oracle, MotoCorp, IBM, many others, to showcase their technical skills to our team. So we have 9 half-day sessions. So each of these half days, for 4.5 days, they are coming in, where they are not discussing what technologies they have already implemented in our organization, but what is the future of technology, how various new technologies are coming, and there are people who are attending these sessions, and there are demo booths where they are also showcasing some of these technologies. So that is giving a good insight to my team as to what is happening technologically.
Right.
We also do something called HTPL, so which is Hero Technology Premier League. So we pick up some of the new areas. For example, recently we took one thing on IoT, connected bikes. Similarly, a few other things. So where people are given some bit of budget, time, and they are asked to explore that. And then they present it to the entire team, which means that those guys actually explore the new technologies on their own. They can take help from various partners, and then they showcase, and then they get some good gifts at the end of it. So it's a win-win. As a group, the entire group gains on new technologies. Those 4 or 5 guys which are working on that particular area, they gain a lot. Also, they get a lot of goodies as a return. That helps them. Similarly, there are various other things. There's another thing that we do is something called special projects. So these special projects are over and above their normal day-to-day working. So where again we form a team of 2 or 3 or 4 people depending on the project, and they are given an area which is not at all related to their way of their day-to-day working, and then they come back over. They spend around 2 months on this, and after 2 months, then they present as to what their learnings were, how this can be used. Many of these special projects then can also be used by our own teams, and we gain a lot. But those guys, the exposure that they get in those areas is so high, which is way beyond their day-to-day working. And then there are various activities, then they are sent to various seminars and all those things, which is regular stuff. We give a lot of focus on skill building for the team.
Excellent. Thank you, Vijay, for your time. I really appreciate your inputs, and I'm sure it's going to be immensely useful for our readers. Thanks so much for your time.